All right, welcome back to Almost Above Average. I am Chris McIntyre, and today we are joined by a true powerhouse in the world of entrepreneurship. Guy Dunn, known across the business world as the Idea Guy, is a veteran serial entrepreneur with more than 30 years of success founding, acquiring, and scaling companies in just about every industry you can imagine. He's taken businesses like Scott and Sons Maintenance from zero to $8 million in under a decade, guided small companies to become multi-million dollar brands through the Idea Guy LLC, and served in leadership roles at firms like M. Davis and Co. Global Systems Technologies and Fry and Associates. And beyond business, Guy and his wife dedicate time each year to building wells and providing vital aid to Ghana. So, with all of those accomplishments and real world impact, Guy, I'd love to start by asking, where did this all begin? Where did this all begin? How and where did Guy Dunn get created?
That's a very good question. I grew up in a family business. My dad, he was the one. He started a company back in 1970 when I was 10 years old, because he had worked 3 jobs to just take care of his family. And he actually worked in the garment district in New York. We were living in Plainfield, New Jersey at the time, and he would commute to New York and work in the garment district. And a lot of the times, he had saw that the cleaning aspect of the companies that he worked with was usually a hit or miss situation. So he decided to um, work with people to help them set their cleaning operations together. And from there, he started his own company. His first company was called Hour Power, and he basically set up hourly workers to do cleaning in these companies. And then he changed to rebranded to Dunn and Sons Maintenance and learned with his connections with some people in the government to become a government contract and build this company up where we were one of the top cleaning companies in the East Coast. He did work at the Port Authority Bus Terminal, LaGuardia Airport, Western Electric, large facilities. I mean, and we all in the family worked in the family business. I mean, I started when I was
Those are
in.
big accounts. Those are like air. Did you start residential? Did he start it in the like a residential
No, we
type?
started small commercial, but built it up. He did a lot of construction cleaning.
Okay.
But he started bidding on work, and he was winning the bids. I tell you the great story of when he got the Port Authority bus terminal contract. All right, so this was a large contract. It was probably about uh, it was about $3 million contract. He bid
Mhm.
it, and it was a union job. But my father did something really unique where although the contract said you had to work with union workers, it did not specifically say that you had to pay them the union wage. So he bid under the union wage. And the union was like, went crazy about it and said, no, you can't do it. You can't do this. They said, he said, read the contract. The contract doesn't say that. And so the
Ah,
Port Authority had to award him the contract at the union wages, even though his bid was lower, but they had to give it to him because he was a low bidder. So he won the contract because he
he's
found the
clever.
technicality that
Right.
allowed him to win the bid, and he forced the Port Authority to give him the contract. I mean, and it was he was threatened by the union. I mean, they were talking about, they were gonna send people out to the house and
Break his legs.
oh, yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that kinda situation, but
Right.
that was a big start, and once he got that, he, was 8A certified with the federal government. He had a good friend who worked in the federal government and was a, administrator at the SBA, and we got 8A certified. We started getting government contracts, and from there on, it was all over. We did government contracts across the country. We did in, Ellsworth Air Force Base. We had contracts outside the country in Antigua where my father actually bought a house there, so we could service a contract. We were there for like 12 years, so that was our vacation spot, but it was a
There
work
it is.
spot because we had a contract there. So he did some
Right.
great things, and I said, "Why would I work for anybody? It doesn't make sense when I could do what my dad did."
That is beautiful. I want my kids to grow up like that. Like, I grew up in a way where you go to school to get a job and then you work at that job until you retire and then you die. That was kind of my upbringing. Now that I realize, just getting into the entrepreneurial space, it's like that's not the only way to make money. Actually, there's a million other ways to make money.
Oh, for sure, and one of the emphasis my father had was he wanted to find a way to educate his children and his brothers and sisters' children
Beautiful.
because his I mean, when he started the company, his younger brother, he was the oldest. So his younger brother and sister and his other brother, like four of them worked in the family business. We all had jobs and we all had jobs for our cousins and our siblings. So we all worked in the family business.
Right. And you all helped each other. You had your relationship capital all within the family.
Oh
So you
yeah,
guys
our
probably,
family was always very close. We did a lot of things together. We traveled a lot together. So I mean, it was amazing to be in my family. I can
so
honestly
your
say.
entrance into the entrepreneurial world was your dad saw a need in a lack of cleaning, like some people weren't doing good jobs cleaning up.
Yeah.
And born from that need, your dad's like, I can do better. Let's start a company. And then while he's at these job sites, he's trying to undercut other contractors, right? And he's winning bids.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We did some amazing stuff. And we were
That would
I
be
mean,
amazing to grow up to watch.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was inspiring. Like when I went to college, I went to Morehouse College and I graduated with a accounting degree because I said that's the degree that you have to be an entrepreneur just to make sense. Because
Right?
you can't count your money, you need to that's a problem.
That's where I'm at. Okay. So how long did you work in your dad's companies?
I worked until I graduated from college.
Did you
I mean,
start
I
your own
worked when
company
I
after
was
that?
younger, I worked in a bank for a few years, but even then I worked at my dad's company over the summers, and, it was a thing where we all had a job. And the one thing, a lot of people said, "Well, did you ever get allowance?" I said, "No, we didn't have allowance because our father allowed it." He said, "I'm not gonna give you allowance, I'm gonna allow you to work."
Yeah, you get paid already.
Exactly. What do you need allowance for? So we all worked. We had a strong work ethic from everybody in the family.
That's great. All of the brothers and sisters entrepreneurs too?
Not all of them, but my sister was an attorney.
It's entrepreneurial-ish.
Actually, yeah, she had her own practice, but then she retired from child court in New Jersey. My brother's been an entrepreneur all his life, my oldest brother, and my brother under me, he worked as an architect. He's an architect, and
Okay.
he worked for companies up until he almost retired, and now he does his own thing. He has his architectural firm and does developing of, projects.
That's awesome. Do you compete with your other entrepreneurial brother?
No, 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 no. We
No?
work together. We collaborate.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we find ways that we can work together.
Okay. So when you get out of college, when did you start your first company?
84. I graduated 82. In 84, my father had a friend who wanted to do the same thing as him in Philadelphia with commercial cleaning. He was doing carpet cleaning, home carpet cleaning. And my dad said, listen, I can send Guy down there and we can build up your company, do government contracting. Because by then I was reading contracts and basically helping them bid on work. So I
Mhm.
actually was the assistant controller for my dad's company where my brother was the controller. Okay.
Okay.
So I came to Philadelphia and we started working and bidding on projects. We got our first contract at this place called Quartermaster in Philadelphia, which is a government contract. It was probably that contract was maybe about $600,000, and it was a
Let's
nice
go.
contract, and it was for 5 years, and that was our start. From '84 to '92 when I left, because my partner wanted to buy me out because he wanted to keep the company, him and his wife. It was him and his wife and me. We were the 3 owners.
Okay.
He wanted the company, and I said, "No problem," because by then I wanted to do consulting. I was doing, consulting for other companies, helping them do their, 8A and government contracting. I said, "That's no problem, I could do it." So got a decent buyout and kept it moving.
And just kept buying other companies after that?
Well, no, 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 I did consulting for a number of years. I didn't buy another company. Actually, I bought a company in the mid-90s. It was a small, recruiting agency, and I did it
Mhm.
for about a year, but then I shut it down because it wasn't what I wanted to do. It's sitting in front of a computer, just
Yes.
hiring and firing people. I'm not hiring and firing, but hiring people for other people and trying to place people in companies, and it just didn't feel like what I wanted to do.
You can't really connect with people that way. It's like faceless, huh?
Yeah, yeah, it was. I mean, it was decent money. They're absolutely, but I didn't and it wasn't at that time, I wasn't in the mindset of build it up and sell it. No, I was just like, "Ah, let me go do something else." So
Right.
and it was cool. I mean, I did, life insurance for a while, and that was interesting, but again, that wasn't for me because the guy I was working for or working with, who brought me into the business, he was kinda sleazy, so I let it go.
Okay. So you're selling your consulting days were kind of selling for other guys who had companies at the time?
Yeah, yep, yep. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I helped a couple of companies grow their business from, a few $100,000 to a few $1,000,000 because that's what I did. Because if you
Right.
do right in government, you can do really, really well. I mean, honestly, roofing is a thing the government buys regularly because they have a bunch of
I
business.
know. I got to get into it. I don't have the business sense. That's all I need to develop it.
No worries, man. No worries.
But yeah, so you consulted for a while and then you brought a company to $8 million in 10 or what was it?
That was Scott and Sons. Yeah.
That was your dad's company.
Yeah. No, no, no. That was Scott and Sons. It was my friend's company, my father's friend's company. We built this company from 84 to 92. It was $8 million when I left.
84 to 92, 8 years. That is crazy.
Yep. And he was literally doing $30,000 when I started with him.
A year? Damn, that's a big jump. How long did it take you to find success when you started with that company? So at 30 grand a
3
year,
years,
he's making it. You come in,
we got the contract that was $600,000.
you got a big injection right up front, probably because of your sales skills, I imagine.
Well, I mean, that and knowing how to bid, knowing how to bid on government contract, and we were 8A certified. At that time, when you were 8A certified, the government was giving work away to the right
Okay.
companies if you know
What
how
does
to bid.
8A certified mean?
All right, so the Small Business Administration had a program called the 8A program, where it is a government contracting program for small disadvantaged businesses. And so once you showed them that you were a small disadvantaged business, then you qualified for certain contracts who were set aside for people who had that designation. So you just had to bid on them against other 8A firms. Now, so the competition was a lot less than just being in the open marketplace. And since we had experience doing it with my father's company, doing it with another company was piece of cake.
Like cookie cutter, you already had the plan.
Exactly. And
Huh.
I was a numbers was my thing. I was great with numbers and accounting background. So we would just listen, man, give me a spreadsheet and I can figure out how to price anything.
Do you think your degree is even useful now?
It has given me a strong base.
The skill set is useful.
Oh, without question. Guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I should take accounting. That'd probably help.
Now, at this point, you just hire an accountant. Man.
I know, I'm too
Hire a
old.
smart guy. That's what you
There's
do.
not much learning I got left.
Yep, you gotta find a guy. That's the thing. As a business owner, you always wanna find people who are smarter than you,
Right.
and then hire them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
And figure out how to hire them. That's the next phase of my business, I think, is scaling. And my current strategy that I have not employed yet is I want to take my next decent profit where I have a little money left over and buy leads. I want to buy some leads to try to fill the pipeline up front so I have a bunch of work going. Because once I'm at a point where I have a bunch of work going, I can kind of manage that. I can hire a couple people that I want to go sell roofs while I'm working these in the background, have these guys out in the world selling more roofs, and then I can just keep working the background while these guys are out selling.
I agree 100%, and the other side of that is now there are so many ways to do what you're asking, what you're suggesting with AI, that
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to fail.
I haven't figured out how to incorporate AI into lead getting
Most people
yet.
haven't, and that's what I'm working on right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Let me be your test pilot.
I have no problem with that. We can make that happen, bro.
That would be dope. And then I could maybe posture as part of my media company and to have a wing of lead generation.
Yeah. Listen,
I went to the point where I've already reached out to a more prominent roofer in the creative space to try to start a podcast with him, a roofing podcast. So I can learn more about roofing, and he owns a lead generation company and learn that side of the business as well, while simultaneously giving roofing educational knowledge out.
right, and the other side of that is and I'm gonna give you my suggestion for you to grow your business, but you say you really wanna grow it, you have a goal in mind, get your game plan in place, and then find other companies who are struggling and buy them out. Buy their list, because the list buy their
They're black books.
well, the black books, but also their reputation. You buy somebody's reputation and find older people who wanna retire, don't have people to pass the business on to. That's how you
Mhm.
grow a business.
I will definitely look into that. Yeah, I need to do something. It's hard being the salesman, the marketer, the HR, the CEO, and the
I've been
president.
there, brother. I've been there. I know.
Yeah. People can't find me. They're like, "How come your Google reviews on?" Yeah, because I haven't sat at the computer for 2 hours to figure that out yet. That's why. How come your email's not up? Same reason.
All right, we gotta work on you, man. I will love to work on your project and make you as successful as you can wanna be.
I would absolutely appreciate it.
No problem.
But hell, this is about you. So, the reason Almost Above Average was started It's because I may have told you when we met in person is because I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Mm,
I've been sober for 4 years. And, how I did it was through the AA program. And in the beginning of my recovery, I wasn't feeling it. I knew I wanted to quit. I didn't know how. I knew people go to this meeting and they seem to stay quit. So that was kind of my line of thinking like, all right, these guys are doing it. Let's go check them out. And so I ended up in a room. I went to a bunch of meetings and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like having to go there. I didn't like what was happening until one day, one guy told me a story from behind me. And he shared exactly my story, how I felt, everything that I went through, the ups, the downs. Just he hit me so perfectly that I was like, man, I want that story changed my life and set me on a trajectory of kind of self improvement. Like, I'm going to go all out on improving myself in every way that I can. So, because of that story, that did that to me. If I can collect stories like that, stories of people who have overcome something, then that's a way I can make impact in the world. If one person can tell me a story and I can be so impacted, how many people can I impact if I collect these stories from everyone and just put them out to the world? So that was kind of the basis of why the podcast was created. It takes a bunch of different directions now, but that's the core of what it was built on. So I know everybody in life has to overcome something.
yeah.
The successes you've experienced can't be all sunshine and rainbows.
Well, heck no.
I know there's got to be a story in there where you had to try really hard to overcome something or something super challenging that you had to overcome. And I'd love if you could share something like that.
I mean, there's so many, because the thing about without failure, you can't succeed because failure is the lesson or the lessons that help you grow. I mean, we don't want to talk about the fact that I'm uh, divorced twice, but I've been with my current wife for 24 years. So
Nice.
life is wonderful with her, and I couldn't be happier. But also, I mean, I've made some business blunders. So back in mid 90s, I tried to buy this huge lot of land. It was probably, if I remember correctly, something like 20 acres. It had a factory on it and it had two houses and land to build other houses
Mhm.
with a lake in the middle of it, in New Jersey. And it was probably worth about 2 million. I negotiated it down to $1 million.
Wow.
Um, and I tried to get the financing on my own, and that was where I found my biggest lesson was you can get opportunities, but that doesn't mean you have to just do it and try to do it without help. And I tried to do it without help and without getting somebody who has a stronger financial background than me and to really make some things happen. Because if I would have got somebody and helped me, somebody who either had a development experience or somebody who basically said, "Okay, guy, I love this idea, put together a package," and have them help me get it funded, then I could have got it done. But I ran into a company, said they can fund it for me, but they were a scam. I ended up putting down 30 or $40,000, and basically they walked away with my money. I couldn't get the financing, and the deal had expired. But I mean, if I would have made it, it definitely would have turned around, and I probably could have made $10 million within a 2-year period.
Man,
And,
does that still sting a
listen.
little bit?
Huh?
Does that still sting a little bit?
That was way back, man. That was in the '90s. I mean,
Okay.
at this point, listen, and that was back then. A few years ago, I bought a trucking company, and it failed, and I lost over $150,000.
Oof.
But, as a seasoned, entrepreneur who doesn't, fear risk, it was like, well, that was a horrible situation. I lost money. Now it's time to find something else. The good thing is I have a wife who's like, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it going because she has a job. She takes care of whatever we have to make sure that, our house. And if I don't have the money, she's like, don't worry about it. We're covered. We're not going to be homeless. We're always
Yeah.
going to have food. We have heat. Don't worry about it. Just figure out what you got to do to recover from it and keep it moving.
Sounds like you got a really good wife.
You have no freaking idea, man. You have no freaking
Congratulations.
idea. Yes.
I'm a little bit jealous, but I'm more happy for you. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, and she retires this year. She's a teacher. She retires at the end of the year, so now life is gonna be really good because 'cause we're figuring out what we're gonna do with our lives after, she retires.
It sounds like you're gonna be going to Ghana and going to Africa or going to
Well,
a
we'll
bunch of
go to
different places.
Ghana. Actually, we're looking at trying to find places that we can maybe retire to in the
Okay.
the midst of craziness in America.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know what you're talking about.
So, but
Any spots picked out?
we're going to take a trip to Portugal,
Okay.
and we're going to take a trip to Panama to scout them out because those are places which has been designated as some of the top places to retire to. I mean, listen,
Okay.
you can go to Panama and live in a very nice two-bedroom house on a monthly budget of $2,000.
Let's go. I can do that now. I'll
Exactly.
retire today.
So, I mean, and we're talking about food, living, all your living expenses for 2,000 or, say if it's
Right?
$3,000, that's nothing. With
Then
Social
you're rich.
Security and a pension, and we sell our house here, we can live really, really nice in another country and have peace and live on a place where there's a beach and life is good.
That's the dream. That's the goal.
And we'll come back and see our grandkids whenever we feel like.
Yeah. I spent some time in Sri Lanka, and when I was spending money there, like it's probably similar
Mhm.
to that. Like a couple grand will get me by for a couple months
Yeah,
for sure.
easy,
You know?
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, traveling is one of the things that we're definitely gonna do. As
Mhm.
you said, we go to Ghana every year, and that's a passion that we've developed.
Talk about why that started, and then tell us what you do.
Okay, well, I'll give you the long story. 30 years ago, a friend of mine went on a trade mission with Leon Sullivan, which is he was a big uh, he started OIC International Opportunity. It was Opportunities Industrial something. I forgot what OIC stands for, but he did things internationally to try to get Black Africans to connect. And so we had went on a trip with him back in 1990. We went to Guinea, Ghana, Gabon, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and went to different countries on trade missions and just to see if we can get some things going. And it
Mhm.
wasn't super successful, but it was experiential and it was wonderful for us to go there. And that was 30 years ago. And that same friend did another trip in 2019. And this time my
Okay.
wife went. And we went to Ghana. We went to Ghana, Benin, and Togo. My wife was blown away. She loved it. She's like, "We have to do this. We have to go back." And so she had planned to go back in 2020, but COVID hit and she didn't go. And we went back together. She was going to go by herself. She had
Mhm.
booked an Airbnb and all this, and then COVID hit. So we went in 2021, her and we went with the same travel agent. I mean, the not the travel agent, same tour guide. And he basically took us around, showed us what Ghana was about. We went to this village where they had a naming ceremony. We did that in 2019. We went back to the village because the one of the reasons she went because we had donated stuff to the schools there, school supplies, and her being a teacher, she's passionate about anything that's
Yeah.
involved with education, and we adopted that village. We're helping them. We've bought some supplies to help them build a community center. We donated to their schools multiple years, and so it became a passion. And she said, "We need to bring other people there because maybe they'll see what we see and help them as well." So the next year, 2022, we brought a small group there and they loved it. They were blown away. And in Ghana, part of the thing that attracts us to Ghana is most people don't realize that most African Americans from the United States came through the west coast of Africa. That's where
Mhm.
most of us were captured from, brought from, and shipped from.
I did
Um,
not know that. The West Coast of Africa?
Exactly. And
Okay.
Ghana has probably the most what they call slave castles slash dungeons that were created, starting with the Portuguese and then the Dutch and then the Germans and then the English and the French that they exported Africans to. Most of them were shipped to South America and the Caribbean. The
Mhm.
smallest portion came to North America. But
Yeah, Boston, yeah.
yes, yes. Actually, first started in
Philly,
Jamestown, Virginia.
Virginia, okay.
Yeah, if you've heard of the 1619 project, that's where the
Mhm.
first Africans were dropped off in America from the slave trade. But before
Right.
that, they were being brought to South America, the Caribbean. Brazil has the largest population of Africans from West Africa.
Hmm. Did not know that either.
But
That explains why they're darker though, huh?
yeah, yeah.
No
Um,
kidding.
But we went there and we loved it, and so we brought other people. Everybody we went to, they are amazed at the history of the slave trade from where it started, is
Right.
different from the history that we know here. And
Right.
we don't learn about their culture because their culture is not taught in any English schools. So if you don't learn it, if you're not taught it, you have to seek out that knowledge. So when we went
Right.
there and they teach you the culture, their history, you learn more about the slave trade, but you also learn more about yourself.
I got it. That's gonna be my documentary film. We had talked about going to Ghana next August, I believe.
Yeah, we're going in
As long as I
August.
financially can make that happen, I would love to do a documentary film
We can do
on that
that, bro.
experience.
Imma tell you that my wife said, "Listen, get him a ticket and let's go. Not get him a ticket, but let's figure out
Yeah,
a way for you to go ahead and finance it and get it in place, and we can make that happen," because there's a
let's do it.
lot of history there.
Yeah, and no one knows that history. That's a good story.
It's a
Like, the way
great
you told it is
story.
good. Imagine if it had documentary videos and photos of the real people, interviews with, real locals about the history. That would be incredible.
It is amazing, Imma tell you.
Yeah. I mean, my one time spending time in Sri Lanka changed my life. Just the culture shock. Just it was so beautiful. The biggest thing that shocked me every morning going into these work facilities, there was mile long line of people walking to work.
Mhm,
People just going to the factories, and they had nice collared button up shirts, nice khakis, no shoes. Women had very nice dresses. They all looked like they were going clubbing or going to court
mhm.
just to go work in a factory. It made me feel like crappy. I'm in shorts and a tank top, like, and I'm going to teach them stuff. It was humbling. It was a very humbling experience, and it was incredible.
Right. And the other thing about it is the people there are humble.
Yeah.
They're wonderful people. They're really nice. I mean, and being away from America, the little things that you see. One, the crime rate is little to nothing. They don't do
There isn't a crime rate.
exactly. They're not trying to hurt each other. They're not trying to. I mean, there's people. The worst you can see in Ghana is there might be a pickpocket, and we didn't experience that, but that or a kid might steal some fruit because he's hungry, but
Natural,
nothing significant. There's no murder rate. There's no, armed robberies. There's all these things that happen in America that there are absolutely no mass shootings,
right?
because people don't
Right.
have guns. That's the thing. Here, in America, when there's more guns than people, it's ridiculous. Well, they
Yeah.
don't have that. And that's part of the thing that attracts me to go to other countries because there's peace.
Right. And I'm sure you'd want to go. I want to experience all of the world.
Oh,
You
for
know.
sure. We're on a quest after she retires, as long as our bodies hold out, we're gonna be traveling.
Yeah.
My wife has a bad knee, so, she had a knee replacement surgery, and the other knee might have to get surgery too, but, I mean, the reality is we're still walking, and she said, "I can walk with my cane, and I have my little brace, and we're gonna do what we gotta do." And
Yeah.
she's, like me, she's like, "We need to explore the world because, time is precious."
Right. I can't believe you were building businesses in '82. I thought you were my age. That was when I was born.
No, 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 no. I'm 65, bro.
Dang, bro.
I'm
You look
65.
incredible.
I appreciate that.
What
Low
kind of creams are you using?
nothing, man, low stress, that's it.
It's from that Ghana. It's from the Ghana, the
The shea
humble you get
butter?
from Ghana. Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, I think, honestly, why I look young is because I don't let stuff stress me out. I always tell my kids that don't sweat the small stuff, and unless it's life or death, it is literally all small stuff. That's it,
Right.
and don't be stressed. I mean, a lot of people at some of the failures that I've had, like I said, I lost over $150,000 with a trucking company
Mhm.
and, said, "What the heck?" I lost it.
God, that breaks my heart when I think of like, that happening to my company. I'm like, I guess I'm homeless and I don't talk to anybody who knows me anymore ever.
Nope. No, it's as an entrepreneur, I've had success and I've had failure, and
Right.
I don't fear neither one of them. I embrace it because it's learning experience, but also, I always tell kids, young people, you gotta try different things to see whether you like it or not. I tried a trucking
Mhm.
company, it didn't work. I don't think I'll do it again. Even though it was a great business, we're hauling cars, and the business was doing $10,000 per truck per week.
Yo, that's a
Okay?
good business.
But I had older trucks and they both failed at the same time.
Okay.
Okay?
That's why
And I
that
didn't have a good cash reserve because I had employee problems. So it was a number of cascading issues that happened at the time. And for one, I would have this One truck I had to spend $7,000. The other truck I had to spend $15,000 to get them both up and running. It's like I didn't have it, and I said, "I'm not
So
going to
there
keep."
there was a knowledge gap in your skills. You didn't understand everything about the trucking game
Right,
when you
and
got
I
into
wasn't a
it.
trucker, so it wasn't like I can
Yeah.
drive and say, "All right, these employees are not gonna work, I'll just go ahead and drive." No, I didn't. I bought a company.
Right. Like you have a basic understanding of like, I'm sure I'm gonna have to spend money maintaining those trucks. I'm sure I'm gonna have to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you don't have the experience at the trucking company.
Exactly. Now, again, I could have probably partnered with another company and said, "All right, let's figure this out." But I didn't, and I just decided to let it go because at that time I still had my IT business. So my IT
Mhm,
business was still running. I still had clients that I've had since 2006. I still did digital marketing, so I was still doing websites. So
mhm.
these were concurrent things that I was doing, and I said, "Let me stick with the things that I know are currently working, even though it doesn't make me as much money, keeps me um, afloat."
Well, and there's a trade off too, because you also want to be you want to be happy about the things you're doing, right?
Exactly.
If they suck, you're not gonna do it.
Right, and the company was in Miami.
Oh,
So, I was dependent upon traveling back and forth, and, I mean, like I said, it was a number of things. My manager he kinda started to back away from the business because he said, "I'm thinking about moving out of Miami," which he eventually did. So once he did that, I would have to hire another person, and I actually bought the company from him because he knew it, and he's like, "I'll run it for you," and that was the plan, and then, the plan changed, and so but like I said, as a seasoned entrepreneur, I'm like, "You know what? Shit happens. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll keep it moving."
yeah. That's a good attitude to adopt. That should be your slogan.
Yeah, right.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving, man.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Get to the next thing.
Exactly, because there is always a next thing until there's not.
Right. I dread that day.
Well, I mean, you know what? But right now, I'm in a situation where I am semi-retired. I still have clients I take care of. I'm still working on a couple of projects. I'm getting ready to, like I mentioned to you earlier, I'm working on some AI platforms to try to offer that to clients similar to you and do some lead gen and other things
I love it.
using tools that are out there because
Yeah.
I'm a tech guy. I mean, that's part of my background. Although I have an accounting background, I was gifted. When I say gifted, one of my gifts is be able to take stuff apart, put it together, and analyze and understand that. When I had
Right.
my IT company, before I had an IT company, I met my wife, right? She
Mhm.
came one day, she came to an apartment. I was living in an apartment in New Jersey. She came to my apartment and I had a two-bedroom, and one bedroom had a room with computer parts. And she's like, "What's all this computer parts?" And I said, she's like, "Do you do computer? You're in a computer business that I didn't know about?" I said, "No." She's like, "Well, what's the thing?" She's like, "I like to," and I told her I like to take them apart and put them together for fun. This was what I did. And that was when I was working as a CFO of a market research company. It was my friend's company. Him and I built his company up. That was another company I helped build. My friend asked me one day, he's like, "Guy, you've been my CFO for a couple of years. What do you, if you could do anything in my company, what would you do?" I said, "I run your computers. I do because that's what I love. That's a passion." Um,
Yeah.
I did help him manage that, but I left him for a company that was a systems engineering company, another government contract company, which I did. I was director of business development for them, helping them get government contracts. And one of the reasons I went with them is because the owner said he was going to buy other companies, which was one of the things I was interested in at the time. I said, "All right, acquisitions, great, let's go do it."
Right.
And we looked at different companies, and he would never pull a trigger. Over 2 years, we probably looked at about 5 or 6 companies. He never pulled the trigger. And then I saw one company which was a Geeks on Call franchise. 3 territories in Pennsylvania, not far from where I lived. And, we did all the analysis, and the guy's like, "Nah, I don't wanna do it." And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna buy these companies. I'm gonna buy this company." And I did. I got some financing. I had to sell or do some financing, and I went and bought the franchise. That was 2006, and I had it up until 2017, and I canceled my franchise agreement because it was a franchise. I
Right.
canceled my franchise agreement because they changed the game.
Did they buy you out for that?
No, no.
So you just lose. You.
No, I
I
kept
don't
my
want anymore.
clients. I kept the
Okay.
business, kept my clients, and told them, "I'm not gonna do your way anymore."
Yeah. Is that when you started your own IT or
That
LLC?
was yeah, I mean, I've always had my own LLC.
I mean, the IT LLC, is that different?
No, 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 that's the same. So it's funny, back in 1990, that's when I started my first company. doing the consulting, which was the Idea Guy Inc. And then when I bought the franchise, I made it Idea Guy Investments LLC. And now I have another corporation called Idea Guy Brands Corporation. So the Idea Guy has always been my theme because that's
I
who
like
I
it.
am. I've always been one to be able to come up with ideas to generate income and do different businesses. If somebody says, they're thinking about this, I said, all right, let's sit down and think about it. And I come up with ideas to help them manage what that thought is to bring it to fruition.
I see a business podcast where it's you and me, maybe not even me, where companies guys can call in who are starting a company, have business questions, and we take calls on a live or something like that.
I'm down with that. That's
You
easy.
have a lot of value to give to the marketplace.
Well, you know what? And I've honestly been blessed with that because I've been in business. I grew up in the family business, so I know what business is like. I've been in lot of companies to help them grow, but it's mostly small business. So I mean, I've never worked for a large corporation, which is
So Pepsi's not calling you yet?
yeah, right.
Pepsi and Nike?
No, and that's okay because small business runs America. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. And I'd much rather connect with people going through the same struggle I am. Like I know I'm struggling with my small businesses. So I know when I meet other small business owners, we have a lot to connect on.
I'm gonna tell you, one of the things I did when I had my IT company. So, I always tell people that networking is a big thing. So, when I first started the IT company, I bought 3 territories in Chester County, PA. Now, I lived in Delaware County, PA, where Chester County was maybe 20 miles west of here. I didn't
Mm.
know anybody out there, but I bought existing territories, and the guy I bought it from, he had gotten sick, he had got cancer, and so he basically said I was gonna shut it down, um, or try to sell it. And he tried to sell it. Nobody would buy it. I said, I'll buy it from you. But I didn't know anybody in those territories where he had, and it was minimal in reference to his footprint. So I had to grow the footprint. So what I did was I networked ferociously. I joined 5 different chambers and I would go to 5 to 10 networking events every week. And I had employees doing most of my work, even though I did work as well. But networking was the way that I grew my business. And I did that for about 7 or 8 months. And it got to the point where people recognized me as the networking guy. So I actually
You
wrote,
created an image.
yeah, yeah, I was that because people would say, Guy, didn't I just see you at the other chamber event? I said, "Yep, I
You
was
damn
there."
right you did.
And they were like, "Man, how do you do this?" I said, "Listen,
Mm.
man, I make it a point. I make a calendar of different events." And I said, "You know what? I will write." So I started a newsletter of networking events across
Mm.
the area. And
Okay.
every month I would make a list of all the networking events of the different chambers because I was in most of them.
I might steal that. Sorry.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I did that at the end of every so I would the format of the newsletter was I would write a article about networking. I'd list all the events, and then I put a coupon at the end of it, and it would go out at the beginning of every month. So
Hmm.
every month when that would happen, one, I would every time I go to network events, all the people I gather business cards, I would send them out the newsletter. Where the people were like, "Guy, man, I saw your newsletter. Thank you for sending it out," because it was, they used it. People use my networking newsletter to figure out where they're gonna go during the month for their networking events.
Yeah, and at that point, you're giving information. You're not really having to be creative or put a lot of thought, like creative power into this newsletter, right?
Right.
You're just kind of informing the people.
Well, but my networking tidbits or my networking article was just basic information that I use to help people, what I use to make my networking more effective.
Right. One tip a month or something.
Exactly,
Just
that
put,
was it. Alright,
yeah,
so I
beautiful.
did that for a couple of years, and then after I compiled those into a book, and I wrote a book called Networking for Business. It's
Okay.
available on Amazon right now.
I'll grab it.
And basically, that was what I used to get people to recognize me and know me.
Right.
And that was actually my second book because my first book was an IT book, which I wrote called Maybe You Can Do It Yourself Quick Computer Fixes for the Non Geek.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
And what that did was establish me as the expert in the IT business because the
Right.
key is, and people say, well, you write a book and you give them all tips and they're going to do it and they don't need you. I said, people don't want to read a book. People want to
Yeah.
know that you're the expert and they'll call
Yep.
you because they don't
No,
want
they're
to
going to
do it.
pay $1,000 for a 10-minute conversation with you. They're going to pay $30,000 for a 10-minute conversation with you. They're like, I know he has a book, but I don't read. I want to talk to him. How much?
Yeah, right. And it was so instead of handing out business cards, I said, listen, give me your information. I'm going to send you a copy of my book. Now,
There you go.
these are self-published books. The books cost me 2, 3 bucks, 2 or 3 bucks to buy on
Mhm.
Kindle. I mean, not Kindle, from, Amazon, because
Right.
you can print them. I could bring them home. It cost me a couple of bucks. They're selling for like 10, 15 bucks, but I mean, it cost me a little bit of nothing. It's better
Yeah.
than a business card because you give out somebody a book, one, you're gonna be memorable because you gave somebody a
You have a
book.
book. The author, Chris, the author. Right.
Exactly, but you
Right.
are now an authority. So now I've created myself as an authority in IT work. I'm an authority on networking. I'm very like I said, I was very well known by I'd say in 3 years, I was very well known in Chester County. I was on the board of the Westchester Chamber. People knew me for sure, and that's how I grew that business. I grew it very well.
This newsletter, how is that getting into the hands of people? Is that email
I
or are you
emailed it.
sending
Yep,
act?
I emailed it.
Okay.
I emailed so anybody whose card I collected, into my email list.
Okay. So you
It
got a running
eventually
list.
probably went out to about a couple thousand people every month,
Okay.
and
That's
every
smart.
time I sent it out, I would get calls for business because there's a coupon at the end of it, and people was like, "God, I've been meaning to call you. I'm glad you sent me out your newsletter because that reminded me to call you."
Yep.
There you
That's
go.
great.
So it gets you business too. Every month, it would go out in the beginning of the month, and every month I would get 5 to 10 calls from that.
I wonder if I could do a networking with a roofing slant, just so you know that I'm putting out this networking newsletter. Also, the guy doing it is a roofer, in
Well,
case
I
you
mean,
need.
that's the thing. My networking newsletter did not mention IT at all,
Okay.
but I had a coupon at the end that
There it
said,
is.
"Need help with your IT stuff? Get your 10% off for mentioning you got it from my newsletter, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah." Really simple, but
Yeah.
it was
I like to
worthwhile,
give
man.
everybody a coupon for a free roof inspection just because I
Exactly,
can. Yeah.
exactly.
Got it.
I mean, but it was me giving information every month. I added value to their
Lives.
being, their life.
Right. Their lives.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna definitely adopt that.
Yeah, man. Listen, again, the idea guy. I came up with ideas to help me grow my
Yeah.
business.
Hell yeah. No, that could work. Something that a strategy that I'm currently using that is working. I go on Nextdoor and I make a super positive post, which is exactly who I am anyway.
Mhm.
Like I start my day with intention, so I've been doing it on Nextdoor as well. Like I hope you have a beautiful day filled with peace and intention or something along those lines, right? So I do a post like that every single day. Doesn't say anything about roofing, doesn't say anything about media.
Mhm.
And then throughout the week, I'll also post, thank you to the customer that let me pressure wash their house over here. So I'm trying to drop little nuggets of what I do because people are really liking my super positive posts.
Mhm.
So I want them to associate the super positive guy with roofing and pressure washing and gutter cleaning. So it seems to be working a little bit. It's not
Okay.
flooding in, but they're trickling in. So that it's kind of similar to that.
Are you capturing the people who are posting, commenting, and all that?
Yes. No, I get a ton of comments. I am responding to them, but
But you're not
nothing about
capturing them,
work.
because the thing is, the people who comment, the people who respond are people who are interested in some way, shape, or form, and
Right.
you have the know, like, and trust factor. So once you have the know, like, and trust factor, then you can focus on ingratiating them to more of you. Now, the other thing is you gotta find a way to give something to people, and that's why, like with me in the newsletter, I gave every month. People found value in what I did,
Mm.
and there's the law of reciprocity. So if you give somebody something, that subconsciously they
Yep.
feel they're responsible to give you
Credit.
something back. Okay. So I always say in business, you have to figure out a way to work that law of reciprocity by figuring out how you can give something to people so they feel that they need to give you something back, whether it's business, whether it's a referral, whether it's, thinking about you when something, happens. You got to be able
Right.
to get
I'll
that
have to
in
figure that one out.
place. Yeah.
From these posts from the Nextdoor app today, a guy sent me a message yesterday. He's like, "I love your energy. Come for a walk with us." I have this walking group in the morning. So I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which there's a lot of money out here.
Hmm.
So I went out there this morning to meet this walking group. And it was just, me and four other guys and a couple. And we just walked. We talked about fitness. But at the same time, what happened is he's also building his own gym at the building we met. and he's gonna need some of my services now.
Yep.
Just from being in that place. So I like the newsletter idea. I just need to find out how many networking events like that happen around my area, so I have something to offer.
The thing is, how many chambers do you have in the area? That's one of the things you need to look at, and other networking groups.
Tell me, I don't understand when you talk about chambers. What does that
Chamber of
mean?
Commerce.
Okay, and I don't know what they do.
Chamber of Commerce is a group of business people that get together to share resources, whether it's insurance, but also to find ways to connect with other businesses. And they do networking events.
Okay, so I need to get in with them.
Definitely. And I can
Okay,
definitely give you, I've been in many chambers, I've been on the board of chambers. And the reality is chamber is a huge tool if you use it.
okay.
Okay? It's a huge tool.
You're the first man to ever tell me that about running my own business. First person.
Okay, listen, I'm again, I've been doing it so many years that I
I
know a
know.
whole heck of a lot about it.
I never associated the Chamber of Commerce with something that I could find value with.
Oh, there's huge value because think of it. So Westchester Chamber, I was on the board of the Westchester Chamber. They have 600 members. There's
Yeah.
600 people you can talk to who have
Yeah.
businesses that have needs, and they're individuals who have needs. So why wouldn't you connect with those people? And once you're a member, you can say, "Hey, I'm a member, so are you. Let's talk about how we can help each other."
And you kind of have a credential too. Like, yeah, I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce when you're out in the world, right?
Right, and the other side of it is if you get in a chamber, and like I said, in where I was in Chester County, there was the Westchester Chamber, there was the Exton Chamber, there's the Southern Chester County Chamber, there's the Phoenixville Chamber, there was the, Downingtown Chamber, and they're all different parts of one county. So, it was the Mainline Chamber, there was the Great Valley Chamber, so there's like 7 different chambers, and I would join them and go to their events, and so leverage all the relationships, all the different chambers and all the members.
Right.
And the thing is, in a chamber is they have committees. So they have an ambassador committee. The ambassador committee is supposed to communicate and welcome all the members of the chamber. So since you're on the ambassador committee, you can go to any chamber member and say, listen, I'm in the chamber, I'm on the ambassador committee. I want to make sure everything's going well for you and your membership. Tell me how it's going for you. And they tell you, and by the way, this is what I do. Maybe we
Hmm.
can talk about how we can help each other in our businesses.
Yeah.
And the other
Love
thing
that conversation.
I tell people who are in business, like perfect connection for you in a chamber would be any other
Trade.
contracting businesses,
Right.
because all you gotta do is say, "Listen, you don't do roofing, I don't do
I don't do
home."
I don't do electricity.
Exactly. And
Let's go.
can we share our network of customers and show how we can help each other? Now I'm gonna be a benefit to your customers, and you're gonna be a benefit to mine.
Right. Networking is the big thing.
Yes, I'm gonna send you a copy of my networking for business book,
Thank
signed
you.
so you have it.
I appreciate that.
Nah, no worries.
So, what is the best advice that you would give a young entrepreneur starting his first business or hers?
Find other business people who can help you navigate. And secondly, network your ass off. And nowadays it's a lot easier because you have social media, so you can do a lot with social media, but I think face-to-face networking is still strong, and just really work on creating relationships with other people and figuring out a way to say, "How can I add value to you first and foremost?" Because the first thing you should do when you network for somebody is find a way that you can deliver value to them and take advantage of the law of reciprocity, because once you give to them, they subconsciously are going to feel obligated to find a way to help you.
Yeah, I feel that way all the time when someone does something nice for me.
Yep.
It's a natural
It's
human behavior.
unconscious. You can't help yourself.
Right. Well, hell, Guy, that was awesome. We're almost at an hour. I didn't even think we were gonna go that long. That was crazy.
Listen, man, I can talk, that's for sure.
Well, can we do this more often? That would be awesome.
We can. And listen, I love the idea of doing a entrepreneurial podcast. We can
Okay.
think of some great ideas, but we have a lot of things to talk about outside of this and how we can work together. I like the idea of doing a documentary for Ghana.
Yeah,
There's some great
that'd be
things that we
great.
can do together, man. I'd love to figure out a way we can make it happen.
Okay. Well, let me wrap up this episode. I'll hit stop and then we can keep talking. Thank you, Guy, for being on the Almost Above Average podcast. Hopefully, you guys all learned a lot. I know I did, and if you did, please share it with a friend. And let me hear your thoughts in the comments. My name is Chris McIntyre. This is Guy Dunn. Any final words, Guy?
Love your life. Try to figure out ways to make yourself happy doing the things that you want to do. I tell people all the time, you have the best advice I can give people is find a way to do well, first, find your passion and figure out a way how to get paid doing it.
That's it.
That's
All
it.
right. Until next time, we'll see you.